Hello, my name is Darla Shaffer, pictured here with my sisters Donna Shaffer Ackles and Dana Shaffer Boatwright. I welcome you to the Ken-Caryl Ranch, once owned and operated by my great-grandfather, John Charles Shaffer. I'd like to share some of our family history with you. My great-grandfather was a larger-than-life, self-made man with many interests. They included investments in the communication and transportation industries, and in ranching, as well as in the arts. John Charles Shaffer was born June 5, 1853, in Baltimore, Maryland, the youngest of 6 children. His parents were poor. His father had difficulty holding a job, so his mother took in sewing to help make ends meet. This also meant that the children had to begin work at an early age to help their family. John Shaffer's first job was at the age of 12 in 1865. He was a boot black, polishing shoes and boots for a living. By 1868, at age 15, he started working for a builder's material and supply company. During this time, he was also studying to be a telegraph clerk for the Western Union Company. After working for Western Union for 3 years, John then was hired as an assistant superintendent of the telegraph department for the Union Railroad Company of Baltimore. In 1874, John Shaffer had saved enough money to move to Chicago, Illinois, a national center for grain investments. Here he joined a group of other young leaders in the financial world. In 1878, he founded his own investing firm, the J.C. Shaffer Grain Company, which purchased grains and grain storage elevators. About the same time, John began dating Virginia Conser, the daughter of a Baptist minister. John and Virginia, whom he called Virgie, were married December 23, 1878. John and Virgie had 2 sons, Carol, born on February 25, 1884, and Kent, born the following year on October 9, 1885. The family lived in the Chicago area, where John maintained his many business interests. Both boys graduated from the Hills School in Chicago and Yale University. Carol's first marriage to Pauline Campbell Bullard in 1908 produced 4 children. Carol's second marriage in 1924 to Della Laura May Logan led to the birth of my father, Carroll Logan Shaffer. Kent married Helen Phillips, a violinist from Greeley, Colorado, and had 2 daughters. Kent was an accomplished musician and composer. 2 of his compositions were I Am Thinking, Dear, of You and the Ken-Caryl March. The whole family was interested in music and the arts. Virgie wrote poetry and plays. This would be reflected in their Chicago home and later at the parties held at their summer home, the Ken-Caryl Ranch in Colorado. Many of Virgie's plays were performed in front of the Manor House. John Shaffer started the Chicago Grand Opera Company, which he promoted and supported for many years. Many parties at their home on Ken-Caryl Ranch involved opera and opera stars. Both Virgie and John had a strong religious faith. John felt strongly that doing what was right was what you did in your life as well as in your business. He was also a generous man, giving time and money to many causes, including the YMCA. John Shaffer had a wide variety of business investments in railroads, the newspaper industry, and ranching. Shaffer's first railroad investments were in narrow-gauge streetcars, used for transportation in cities. He purchased his first railway in 1887 in Indiana and continued investing in other Midwestern rail lines. In 1901, John purchased the first of several newspapers, the Chicago Evening Post. With other investors, he purchased other newspapers in Indiana and Kentucky. When his interest turned to Colorado, Shaffer purchased the Rocky Mountain News in October 1913 for $750,000. He also purchased 2 other competing Denver newspapers, the Denver Times and the Republican. Shaffer sold the Louisville Herald in 1924 and the Denver Papers in 1926. Shaffer's expectations for excellence extended to his newspaper interests. In 1922, the French government acknowledged John with the Legion of Honor Medal, recognizing his excellence and integrity in the field of journalism. While in Colorado, John Shaffer became interested in ranching. On October 17, 1914, he purchased the land that is today known as the Ken-Caryl Ranch for $70,000 and named it after his sons Kent and Carol. The Shaffer family built a grand new summer home, the Manor House, and enjoyed hosting many guests and social activities. The ranch became famous for its champion Hereford cattle. Shaffer, like many others of his day, lost heavily financially when the stock market crashed in 1929. This led him eventually in 1933 to give up the Ken-Caryl Ranch, which he had used as collateral for other investments. However, Shaffer had gained much respect throughout the country for his ideals and opinions on the economy and government. As he began to sell off his business interest in his newspapers, he still sent in editorials to share his thoughts on important topics. He even visited Presidents Herbert Hoover and Franklin D. Roosevelt for private conferences. John Shaffer lived out his final years in Illinois. He had lost his son Kent in 1925, his wife Virgie in 1932. His eldest son Carol retired to Michigan due to poor health, leaving John Shaffer to continue working into his 80s. He did enjoy taking a few months off in the winters to go to his other home in Santa Barbara, California. He gave his Evanston, Illinois home to Northwestern University with the stipulation that he could live there until his death. Shaffer survived an emergency appendectomy at age 89. However, a year later caught pneumonia and died October 5, 1943. In closing her book on John C. Shaffer, Dolores A. Ebner gave a wonderful description of the man. Quote, "John C. Shaffer was a man of conscience, and he spent most of his years trying to make the world a better place to live. His philosophy of life was to be a good friend and try to keep a high moral value to his life and those around him. His many friendships give tribute to his high values. He lived a good life and made many significant contributions to better society." End quote.